You know, as a hockey fan, I couldn't really imagine hockey coming back in the state that the world is currently in. I also didn't expect the qualifiers to go the way they did at all. The predictions I made, the games that were played, the comebacks, the heartbreak, the sadness, the triumphant victories. And where do I start? I mean, I'm doing this solo. I'm flying solo tonight. Yes, I did do the qualifying predictions with my dad. He is currently sobbing. Like, he's not sobbing. I don't know. He fell asleep a long time ago. I went out because the Leafs lost. I feel bad for him. I'm going to start off with that. You know what? I'll start off in the Eastern Conference. I guess that's what everybody is here for, and that's the Eastern Conference. No offense. No offense, West. No, I'll start with the East. I started with the West last time. I'll start with the East. If you're not sure why you're here, look at the title. Today we are going to be discussing the qualifiers. We're going to do a recap, my predictions, how, what, why, when. I don't know. We're just gonna talk about the qualifiers today. Let's start with probably the thing that has currently broken hockey Twitter. I'm recording this, I don't know, 4 hours after the Toronto Maple Leafs lost. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning as it currently stands. Wow, Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Columbus Blue Jackets in round number 1. I predicted the Toronto Maple Leafs. I also stated I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus brought them to 5 games. Columbus did bring them to 5 games, and they beat the ever-living hell out of them every step of the way. Columbus took it 3-0 in the 5th game. Wow. I really don't know what to feel for Toronto Maple Leafs fans. Yes, I'm a Leafs fan, but I've grown up in a Toronto Maple Leafs household. Obviously, I didn't grow up watching hockey, but I knew my dad very much supported the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I feel bad for him. He's currently 51 years of age, which means he was born the year after the Toronto Maple Leafs last won their Stanley Cup, which is heartbreaking. He's seen, a dozen good Toronto Maple Leafs teams in his lifetime, which is sad. It's incredibly sad how Toronto Maple Leafs lost this series in that kind of fashion, being shut out, twice in this series, them getting, game 1, they got shut out. Game 2, they shut Columbus out. Game 3, Columbus came back, was at the comeback game, and then Toronto Maple Leafs, the game after, came back. And then game 5, another shutout for the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is one of the most tricky teams. Yes, I watched Steve Dangle. I know all about the Leafs. I would say, all around, I know the Toronto Maple Leafs best, way better than any other team except the Habs in the NHL. I keep up to date with them. I would say, I know a whole lot about them. I know their pain and their struggles, and I think they're one talented team, but they just don't have it. They just don't have what it takes to get past the qualifying round. They haven't won a series since 2004. It's heartbreaking for Leafs fans, I'm sure. You know, I grew up and I really didn't know about I believe it was 2011, or is it 2013, that they blew the 4-1 lead in the Game 7, third period. But it's heartbreaking to see them come back from a 3-0 deficit of their own. I said right in that very moment, Toronto's going to come back and win this series. And they didn't. They fell short. There was no offense. There was nothing. There was no clicking. I did catch the first period of the game before I went out. It didn't click. Nothing clicks on that team right now. It's like they curl up and die. Their defense is crap. I mean, I don't know why they're playing Cody friggin' Ceci, who's probably in the bottom percentile of NHL defensemen, and he's making over $4 million. I don't understand it. Toronto, you need to get it together. I have a feeling Kyle Dubas is gonna do something crazy this season, but we also have to talk about the draft lottery. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut that into a different episode. I probably will, but we'll talk about that. Toronto, you have a lot to figure out. I do feel for your fans. Do I feel bad for the team? No, I feel bad for the fans. I couldn't care less about the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I care about the fans, and I know I don't get along with the Leafs fans. I understand that, but I get why you're mad. That's all that hockey Twitter is going to be for the next several months. Like, Kyle Dubas is an idiot. Why is William Nylander making... I think the stars that they have are incredible. John Tavares, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Morgan Riley, Austin Matthews. They have some future Hall of Famers on their team. John Tavares is probably going to be one. Austin Matthews, for sure. I can already see it. They just got to figure it out. It's like they have no fight. And there's not a whole lot more I can say about Toronto. I don't watch their games game in and game out, but it does suck to see that they didn't move past the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I thought they would. I predicted Toronto, and they just didn't. So I'm currently I'm 0 for 1. So we will move on to the next series. Toronto, I'm sorry. It sucks. Next series, you got the Montreal Canadiens versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. I obviously had the Pittsburgh Penguins. Who in their right mind wouldn't pick Pittsburgh? There's no reason to ever bet against Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and that team. You should never do it. If you were in Vegas, you bet on Sidney Crosby. You put money down on him. And for a lot of the series, he was money. He was dangerous on the ice. And as a Habs fan, holy hell. I legitimately do not understand how this team won. Game number 1, I believe it was a 4-3 overtime win. Jeff Petrie, apparently the best sniper in the NHL right now. I legitimately don't understand how they won this series. All the experts said Pittsburgh Penguins, 3 games, 4 games, 5 games maybe if Montreal does something cool. And all I heard the months coming up to the qualifiers is that there's one man that will determine how the Montreal Canadiens will go forward. And that man's name is Carey Price. This series was defined by Carey Price. Obviously, over the last few seasons, he has not been Carey Price. There's a lot of reasons to that, and I get why people don't think he's the best anymore. I understand it. I think he still is. You gotta watch the games to know that this man tries so hard to play behind a team that doesn't support him. You know, our offense was stagnant throughout the entire series. We just got goals exactly when we needed them. Game 1 we won. Pittsburgh tied up the series. I'm like, okay, it's over. Pittsburgh's going to roll through us. Carey Price has shown a lot of people that he still has what it takes to win games. A healthy, rested Carey Price is a Carey Price that you don't want to play, and I'm sure Philadelphia Flyers don't want to play him, but I guess we'll get into that later. Montreal, I'm happy as hell they won. I said in the predictions that Montreal, I would be surprised if they made it to 5, even if they got a win. If they get swept, they get swept. It's cash money for the Montreal Canadiens, and that's what I keep saying. When we won, I'm like, oh my god, playoff experience for the Montreal Canadiens, and everybody's like, but Lafreniere, it's a 12.5 chance at Lafreniere. 8 other teams or 7 other teams have that chance. You kind of weigh that option. It's like, obviously, I would love an Alexis Lafreniere. Worst case scenario right now is pick number 16 until we make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's the best it's currently at. If we make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, that's damn good. Obviously, you want a franchise player in Lafreniere. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Thing is, you can't change anything right now, Montreal. You're winning games. Momentum is on your side. You have an all-star goaltender on your team. This Montreal Canadiens team very much reminds me of the 2010 Canadiens. Maybe the hockey gods are on their side and they're like, Montreal, you deserve something nice after all you're paying the last few years of sadness. I mean, I wish they would do that for the Oilers, but, you know, poor Oilers, right? We'll get into that too. Montreal, I didn't have them, so I'm currently 0 for 2. 0 for 2. Now, Pittsburgh. I've just been talking about Montreal. But Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, what? You should have steamrolled over us, there's no question. Obviously, a lot of people debating, Tristan Jarry should have been the starter from the beginning. Matt Murray gave you the best chance to win every game. He didn't really falter at any point throughout any game. They go with Tristan Jarry. He wasn't that bad. He lost 2-0 in the 4th game. Everybody else kind of crapped the bed around the goaltending. Goaltending was not the problem, Pittsburgh, and that's what a lot of people have been debating over the last season and a half for Pittsburgh. Like, it should be Tristan Jarry. Matt Murray's won two Stanley Cups, but blah, 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 blah. I don't know what Pittsburgh does this coming off season. Do they even have their first-round selection? I no, but it's probably lottery protected. The one they traded for Jason Zucker. What a big trade they made. Holy moly. And did he make a difference in the series? No. Pittsburgh, you got a bunch of old guys. You got a few young kids. You keep getting players out of nowhere that turn into something. That you're really good at that. You're like the Eastern version of the Chicago Blackhawks, just picking guys out of Europe, and they're like, they're good now. It's like, what do you mean? They're an AI generated player in NHL 20. Pittsburgh, I don't know what you guys feel as a fan. You still got Sidney Crosby. You have a chance at Lafreniere. Maybe it goes your way. That's chaotic as hell. I think Pittsburgh's still a damn good team. They just didn't win. Sometimes puck luck is not in your favor. Sometimes you just don't win, even though you should 100% of the time win. I don't know. Moving on to a series that I forgot the team I actually predicted to win this series. The New York Islanders beat the Florida Panthers, the sad Florida Panthers in 4 games, 3-1. I didn't. There are 2 series in this prediction, or in the prediction video, that I forgot that I actually picked. I'm like, I picked this team over that team, and I'm like, I'm set the entire series. I'm like, okay, I picked that team. I hadn't even recalled that my brain then was like, I'm smart. I'm big brain. I remember what I know exactly what hockey is. I picked the New York Islanders. I'm 1 for 3. That's good. 33%. That's not a passing grade. But New York just outclassed the Panthers. Yes, going back to the prediction video, I don't know much about both these franchises. I know the New York Islanders don't have a megastar on their squad. I would say Florida has a lot more younger talent on their team, and I just don't know what's happening there in Florida. They're kind of missing their window. Over the last few seasons, it's like, okay, let's keep adding these players. Barkov is now one of the best players in the league. Huberdeau breaks franchise records. Ekblad, who's one of the great young defensemen in the league. Bobrovsky for a $10.5 million contract. That's not looking good right now. Where does it lie with the Florida Panthers? I believe they just moved on from their general manager not that long ago. Talon? Dave Talon? If I'm not, I could be very mistaken, but I know they moved on from their general manager or coach. I think it's both. I think the coach is also the general manager for the Florida Panthers. Florida, you're a circus show. You're the better version of the Buffalo Sabres with the same amount of accomplishments. Except you technically made the playoffs this year, but you didn't. Florida, I don't know what's going on. You have a lot of talent on that team. You have so much talent, and it's just not working. Is it goaltending? Spending the money in the wrong places. Bobrovsky. I guess let's talk about the actual problem with the Florida Panthers. I was going to be lenient on Bobrovsky today, but he sucked. Yes, he had a few really cool saves here or there, but he is so inconsistent. You go back to Columbus, maybe he worked really well because of the system that he was under, winning Vezinas here or there, runner-ups, all the votes. He just does not work here in Florida. I believe their backup was very much touted to be the starter coming in this series, and they went Bobrovsky. He had a few okay performances, but man, he's just so inconsistent with these Florida Panthers that just don't have it down pat. I mean, last season I heard all the rumors, Panarin and Bobrovsky from Columbus to Florida, that'd be huge for Florida. Florida just, if they get Lafreniere, that changes their story. I think that makes them a legitimate contender. I know one player, it's going to change not that much, Owen. Lafreniere, man. He's going to change one of 8 teams for the better. Florida, man, I feel bad. For the Islanders, man, I said, hey, you'll win. I'll probably edge them out. I don't know how many games I said specifically, but you kind of manhandled them. You went up 2-0 in the series. Florida tried to fight back. Islanders, you just outclassed them. You're really solid system. Barry Trotz knows exactly what he's doing. He's going up against his former team in the first round. Islanders just outclassed them. The last series in the East, the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New York Rangers, and let me talk about one thing first. I feel bad for only one person on the New York Rangers. No, not Chris Kreider. I hate his guts. Tony DeAngelo, hate you too. Panarin, don't hate you, but I couldn't care less. I feel bad for one player on that team. Do you know his name? His nickname's the King of New York, Henrik Lundqvist. I've heard a lot of rumors. Hey, this is the last time in a Rangers jersey. I personally don't see it. I think he would have called it right there on the ice. Like, hey, guys, I'm done. Goodbye. I think he would have done something like that. I think the Rangers are classy enough to at least give him that opportunity in his last game to do something like that. Not going out with a whimper against the Carolina Hurricanes. A lot of people saying the Rangers are stubborn for going with Lundqvist. I understand that. Lundqvist, I don't think, was the biggest X factor in the reason they didn't win a single game. I also think it was the wrong decision to start him all 3 of them. Given the first game, he wasn't bad. Maybe try one of your younger guys like Georgiev. I don't know if Shesterkin was ready to play. I think he was unfit to play for game number 1. But maybe you give it to one of the younger kids. But they're not going to hold 3 goalies next year, I don't think. I hope New York doesn't lose Lundqvist. You can't see him in another jersey. That's too weird. That just doesn't make any sense for the Rangers. You got to hold on to the thing you love the most, and that's Henrik Lundqvist. You could get rid of everybody else on this team who defines the New York Rangers. It's Henrik Lundqvist. Man, Carolina, just like the Islanders, outclassed them. I didn't give them enough credit going into the postseason. You know, I had my March brain. And by that, I mean, the New York Islanders are hot in March. Oh my God, they're going to keep going. They're going to get a wild card spot. They're going to whoop everybody. That's what everybody thought. Until you have a few months off, almost 5 months of no hockey. Carolina is legit. I think they're legit now. I think that series against New York proved me wrong. I know I picked Carolina, so now I'm 2 for 2. I'm 2 for 4 in the East. Not bad. That's 50%. 3 games. They outclassed them. Sebastian Aho, Svechnikov, the first hat trick in Carolina Hurricanes history, if I'm not mistaken, in the postseason. I think I'm right. Man, Carolina, you're legit. I haven't given you enough credit. I'm going to be the first person to say I legitimately disliked you for a very long time. I just didn't like you. You're like, that you're this boring franchise, but you get young guys like Aho, Svechnikov. You are looking legit. If there's a team out of the East that could go all the way just for sheer talent, it's going to be Carolina. They could beat Boston easily, I think, with the way Boston's played so far. Carolina, if there's a team other than Montreal in the East, I'm kind of cheering for Carolina. There's something about that team that I really, really like. Now just manhandling the Rangers. I hate the Rangers. They're my least favorite team. No offense to your fans. I hate the team. Fans are fine. Whatever. Very much dislike the team. Carolina whooping them almost makes me like them. And I really, really, really like that. So Carolina, moving on to the first round. Congrats, guys. Moving on to the Western Conference. The one series that I thought was going to be the most entertaining, the Winnipeg Jets versus the Calgary Flames. Man, oh man, it did not go the way I thought it was going to be. I said goaltending was going to be the factor. Connor Hellebuck, it sort of was. Cam Talbot outclassed the Winnipeg Jets. Yes, you have that hit in game number 1 from Tkachuk on Scheifele that's debatable to a lot of players. I don't think it was clean, but I also don't think it was dirty. I just think it was a thing that happened. He's an aggressive player. I don't think he intentionally took out Scheifele like that. If he was going to do it, you would have been able to tell. He's not that smart to almost get away with it. That was kind of the big headline coming out of game 1. I believe Laine and Scheifele didn't suit up for game number 2. Calgary just manhandled them. I said going into the postseason that Winnipeg would win. They would probably win in 5 games. I thought it would go deep. It just didn't. Calgary from game number 1 had Winnipeg's number. Offensively, defensively, goaltending-wise, Hellebuck could only do so much. And so much wasn't enough. I said going into the series, Calgary's just looking crap. They're not good. I don't know if that's my March brain or whatever, but Calgary just sucked this past regular season. Like, they missed their window of getting in the first round, beating Colorado, the wild card, the last wild card spot. They get beaten in 5 or something, outclassed. Calgary flips the table. They win. They're heading to the first round, I believe, against the Dallas Stars. I think Calgary could go deep in this one if they play their cards right. Maybe. This just goes to show that as hockey fans, we know nothing about this sport. All your predictions, it doesn't matter. I'm now 2 for 5. 2 for 5. Lovely. I'm not a fan of either of your teams. I don't dislike you, but you're both Canadian teams. I wish there was some way you both could have advanced to the first round. I wish Winnipeg did. Calgary did. Congratulations. One of you had to make it. It was you. As if there's fans out there listening to this, hi, hello. What do you do as a Winnipeg Jets fan? Do you just wait for the draft lottery where Lafreniere, I guess you're just holding on for hope that maybe you get that kind of player? That changes it changes your team as a whole. You are legit if you get that franchise player. He's compared to Sidney Crosby. You don't just throw that name around and not be good. You really don't. So I feel bad for Winnipeg. Calgary, you surprised me. Chicago versus Edmonton. I said in that predictions video that the winner of this series potentially could go all the way. When I said that, I literally had in mind Chicago going all the way. I could see Edmonton winning the entire thing, but if I see a team upsetting everyone, it's Chicago. I didn't pick Chicago in the series. Now I'm 2 for 6. Right? It's not unbelievable when you think about it. Edmonton's a 2-line team. Their depth didn't show up. Defensively, they didn't show up. They went with Mike Smith in game number 1, and then everybody's like, go Mikko Koskinen. He sucked. No support from the back end. Connor McDavid put up 9 points in 4 games. This poor generational talent is being wasted away here in Edmonton. Maybe they get Lafreniere. That goes for everybody. But my Edmonton, you are such a sad team. You're like the Buffalo Sabres. No offense, Buffalo. I mean, nah. To the franchise, yeah. To the fans, I feel really bad for you. You are a circus show. Getting Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Kailer Yamamoto, Nugent Hopkins, trading away Taylor Hall for a garbage defenseman, or not anywhere near the talent level of Taylor Hall. I know it's comparing oranges and apples at that point, right? My God, you losing that series is actually believable. It's not unbelievable, because that's the most Edmonton thing to do, to have a great regular season, be touted to go far. Everybody's like, if there's a team to beat in the West, it's the Edmonton Oilers. You lost to an aging dynasty that should have been nowhere near this playoffs, just like the Montreal Canadiens. They were the 12th seed against the best team out of the round robin. I don't understand, Edmonton. I understand. I know I understand, but it's so believable that it's unbelievable how you could screw this up. Chicago, their big guys came up. Captain Clutch, Captain Serious, Jonathan Tace, Patrick Kane, Duncan Keith, Corey Crawford. You could not beat this team. Kubalik was crazy. Super underrated in Chicago. Shouldn't win the Calder because he's literally going to be 25. Shouldn't win the Calder. If he wins the Calder, swear to God, just like Panarin should have won the Calder. My gosh. I said the winner of this series potentially could go to the finals. I still believe if there's a team to go all the way to the finals to upset everybody at Chicago, because why not? It's hockey. Going up against Vegas in the first round, I think they have a pretty good shot at beating them. I don't know. I think for me, as a fan who hasn't really had a winning team and seeing Chicago win 3 Stanley Cups in 5 years, I think it's totally unfair that they're here and they're winning, they're beating young up-and-coming stars. I think it's so unfair. I think it's so upsetting. But man, oh man, Chicago Blackhawks, am I right? Man, my next two picks, I'm going to end this video 2-8. 2-8 for my predictions. That's abysmal. That's what? I'm bad at math. 2 for 8. No, can't do it in my head. No, that's 25%. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 25%. That's abysmal. That's not good. The Vancouver Canucks versus the Minnesota Wild. The Vancouver Canucks just beat the Minnesota Wild in 4 games. Chris Tanev with the overtime winner in game number 4, 11 seconds in. I should have picked Vancouver. I know my hockey brain said pick Vancouver. I said, you know what? Minnesota Wild upset. They had a lead there in game number 4. They could have definitely forced 5. But Vancouver, with their young talent, I'm glad Vancouver is moving on. I'm glad they are. I'm happy they're moving on. They have a lot of problems there, though. Markstrom wasn't the best goaltender during that series. A lot of problems here or there. A lot of problems showing up for Vancouver, but I hope they do well, as there's only 2 teams in the West right now. I hope they both make a good run. Now for the Minnesota Wild. Guys, you shouldn't have been here in the postseason. Yes, you were hot down the stretch. I don't think you should have been here. From the starting of the season, you looked garbage. You're going to get a guy like Kirill Kaprizov in the offseason coming over. I believe he just got his USA work visa today, or the day that I'm recording this. I mean, technically, the day that this is going out, the day that I'm recording this as well, because it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Minnesota, you got a lot of things going for you in the future. Your prospect pool is looking better and better. I think you need a really good draft to make this team a whole lot better for the future. You might have had... Mikko Koivu could have had his last game as a Minnesota Wild or as a hockey player in general. You might lose your captain. That is very probable. Their general manager has to go one way or the other. He just split the difference. He's like, okay, let's trade Jason Zucker, but let's be a good team. I don't know. Minnesota, you have a lot of problems on that team. I think there's a lot of upside. Kevin Fiala is just so underrated. I think right now, He's probably the most underrated player in the NHL. I think Kevin Fiala is the most underrated player in the NHL. Okay? Ta-da. I had Minnesota as the underdogs. They didn't win. It was close. They just didn't win. Vancouver 3-1. Congrats, Vancouver. And the last series in the Western Conference and the qualifiers, I had the Nashville Predators over the Arizona Coyotes, but Arizona, the young, up-and-coming team, just beats them. They clinched the series in overtime. They really stood up, and I said Nashville is just too good to be beaten by Arizona. Arizona had no reason to... I had no idea. I had no reason in my brain to pick Arizona. I'm like, okay, Taylor Hall's a curse for any team that he's on. They just lost their general manager, and now they're in the first round. They're making a run at it. They're going for it. They're playing Colorado, so they could be out in the first round. I like the groundwork that they have in this team. I think they're also a clown show. They are a clown show, but the clown show moves on. I'm happy for Arizona. I'm glad the underdogs won that. But for the Nashville Predators, they are now in a bit of a conundrum. Over the last few seasons, they've kind of taken a step back. I think let's go back to the Stanley Cup Finals, I believe 2017, the 2017 Stanley Cup Finals against the Pittsburgh Penguins. You lose there. Everybody in the hockey world was rooting for you, except Pittsburgh Penguins fans and probably a few weirdos. The fans were awesome. Nashville's a hockey city. You blow it against Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby gets his third career Stanley Cup, and you walk away with nothing. You walk away with nothing. Hey, a few extra fans here or there. Oh, the bandwagon, am I right? And over the next few years, they take a step back, losing to Dallas last year in the first round, losing here against Arizona, who they probably should have beaten. If I'm not mistaken, Pekka Rinne didn't start in the postseason. They gave it to UC Saros. I could be very wrong, but I didn't keep up with that series, and I'm surprised Arizona won. But Nashville, they're slowly becoming the San Jose Sharks. They have a lot of talent on the team. They have a lot of problems, though. They just can't get over the hump. They had their chance. They missed it. They're not the run and gun Nashville Predators anymore. They're slowly withering away. Maybe it's time to fire their general manager after he's been their GM since the starting of their franchise. Maybe it's time. But as for predictions, it didn't go very well. That just goes to show that I'm a terrible hockey fan. I suck. It's predictions. It goes to show predictions mean crap. They mean nothing. I just think it's really funny. Maybe in the next predictions video, I'll have a better time deciding who wins, who loses, who gets the axe. But I guess we'll just leave it at that. There's a lot of series here where I'm like, damn, especially Montreal and Chicago moving on. Carolina just outclassed New York. Same with the Islanders over Florida. Toronto, ooh, that's sad. West, man. Vancouver, Arizona, right? That's awesome. Winnipeg, Calgary. I think the playoffs are going to be very, very fun. Officially the first round beginning very, very soon. I'm excited as a hockey fan. I'm glad Montreal's still in it somehow. I'd watch either way because hockey's back. Hockey's a crazy sport. The hardest sport to predict in the entire world.